Firstly, I want to say it's more about how she's written than just her as a character. The show revolves around a bunch of gay men and gay couples and one singular straight couple, and Vivzie Pop has been called out various times for not being able to write women. We see fuck all about Millie aside from parts of her life that involve Moxie, like her pregnancy storyline. Stella, who is one of the only other women in the show, is one of the villains. Verosica, who is also one of the only other women, was originally introduced as a bit of a villain because her purpose was to piss off Blitz before we got a deeper look at their breakup, and how Blitz was actually the asshole in that situation. Luna's only purpose is to constantly be an asshole to her father, Blitz, and Octavia's only purpose is to be a depressed teenager. Luna and Octavia's main role in the show is to get in between their dads, Blitz and Stolas getting together. Luna got in the way by needing shots at the vet on the day Stolas needed saving and Blitz didn't show up. Octavia's purpose now is to get in the way of Stolas being able to freely love Blitz now that it's less controversial for them to be together. Because Stolas isn't a royal magical prince anymore, and he's literally living in Blitz's house rather than his palace. Vivzie Pop has basically added these two daughters, Luna and Octavia, to get in the way of their dads more than as actual characters in the show. Sure, they have an episode or two revolving around them, but they don't have much added to their characters. Have we ever seen Octavia happy? No. She's always just sad and depressed, and that's all we see of her in the modern time period. We saw her happy as a kid with her father, and that's fucking it. She always has a problem with something, like her dad taking antidepressants, or her dad literally risking his life and making what's low-key a heroic sacrifice to save Blitz's life. Even if it meant in the process, it was decided he couldn't see her again. He didn't know it would turn out like that. He didn't know saving the life of a couple of imps would mean he would have to give up seeing his daughter. Yet she's mad at him like he knew the whole time that he would be giving her up. All she ever is in the whole show is fucking sad and angry and miserable. And I think the writers need to bin that emo, angry, sad, depressed teenager storyline and give her a bit of happiness. Even though they only wrote her in to be an obstacle for Stolas and Blitz's love and to be one of the victims of Stella's evilness. They need people to hate Stella, but she doesn't get enough screen time for people to really hate her as a villain. So they have to make do with what they have and give her some really evil shit, like only sparing Stolas' life after paying to kill him, so everything he has doesn't go down to their daughter. Because she doesn't like either of them and wants what he has all for herself. So she decided to go about it another way. Because why on earth would she want her child to have nice things when those nice things could be her own? Octavia being mad at her dad taking antidepressants really pissed me off. She got mad because she thought he took them because of her, but why would you blame him for that if that's really your thought process? It's not his fault if he has fucking depression he needs medication for. And if you think it's your fault, why would you blame him? It's fucking weird writing on the writer's behalf. You'd think if she thought it was her fault, she would blame herself rather than thinking, I made you need antidepressants, fuck you. Octavia hasn't really developed since she was introduced. Her entire identity is being sad, angsty, and annoyed with her dad. Characters can start that way, sure, but there's been no growth. We never see her try to understand Stolas, move on, or even explore who she is outside of her family drama. There's not much they can do considering she is 17, so technically a minor, even though we don't know if that actually exists in hell since she's technically immortal. So in the grand scheme of things, she doesn't exactly age because she's never going to die in a natural way unless she gets murdered. And the one thing we associate with aging in real life is the idea of getting old and wrinkly and then inevitably dying after that, which she isn't gonna have. She's also an owl, so they probably don't exactly age in the way we do. You know how cats and dogs age like 7 years in 1 year and 20 years for us is like 100 years for them? Maybe it works in a similar way for them, I don't know. They're royal owls in hell, so we don't exactly know how they work until Vivzie Pop confirms it. We can't really just guess based on real-world owls. But because she's 17, which in our world is considered underage, they can't do many things like explore her sexuality and whether she's straight or bisexual or gay, even though many people have kinda already headcanoned that she's a lesbian because she's had some quote-unquote cute scenes with Luna. So for some reason, to a lot of people, that has automatically made her gay. I get that it's a show with mostly gay characters, but someone having a cute scene with another girl doesn't mean they're automatically a lesbian. But they should expand her character in some way other than the same old family drama. Yes, your dad is gay. Yes, your mom is an asshole. Can we have something new for Octavia? She doesn't have a real life outside of her father. Does she have friends? Hobbies? What's her life outside of her family being a shit show? We don't know, because the show doesn't care enough to flesh her out beyond being Stolas' sad, miserable, shitty little emo kid. Look at this character. She's sad again. Look, guys, new episode of Helluva Boss. And shocker, Octavia spends every second that she is in this episode being miserable again. Even Luna got a storyline outside of Blitz being her dad. She had a crush on Verosika's bodyguard, realized he had a girlfriend, went to one of the parties they threw, and made some hellhound friends that she ended up inviting to her Sinsmas party with her dad and his coworkers. And Octavia has a weird uncle, a gay dad, and a villain mother. And that's kind of it. Give her something. Give her some friends. And I'm not talking about just Luna because their dads are dating. So those two will eventually get a storyline together anyway, because they will basically be somewhat sisters. Give Octavia some friends. Have her go to some royal ball like the sisters in Frozen, and have her meet some people and make her less lonely and miserable. Show some aspects of how she's a royal teenager. We have seen Stolas and his royal king of a father and the palace he lives in, but we don't really see Octavia in any cool royal outfits being the royal kid she is. Give her some cool dresses and a tiara or something if you can't give her some friends, for fuck's sake. She's always dressed in her emo clothes. The show ignores her when it's convenient. She's only brought in when it's time to guilt Stolas or ruin a potential Stolas and Blitz moment. She disappears for episodes at a time, and then shows up just to be a reminder that Stolas won't be able to have anything with Blitz till like the end of the show, because they have to drag it out. So people keep watching the show. People wouldn't be as invested if Blitz and Stolas got together quite early in the show. There wouldn't be anything to be excited for as the show goes on. It makes her feel more like a plot device than a person. Oh, shock. Octavia has appeared when things have been going good for Stolas and Blitz, and now it's all ruined between them again. Shock. Even other serious characters have funny or vulnerable moments that make them likable. Blitz himself, even though he spends most of his time joking around, actually opens up in some episodes, even just for a few seconds. Meanwhile, Octavia gets zero personality outside of sadness. This means when she does open up, no one really gives as much of a shit because no one's shocked. She spends most of her time being sad and talking about it, so it means less when she does it in the way other characters do it. It makes her hard to connect with, even if the audience wants to. Octavia is clearly going through stuff, but we never see her go to therapy or anything, or even have a conversation that isn't doom and gloom. And despite that, she's never challenged. She's allowed to be constantly nothing but miserable without anyone calling that out or encouraging growth. Like, yeah, your parents got divorced. You should probably tell someone about how that impacted you, like a therapist, or something, like how your dad got prescribed antidepressants because it affected him as well as you. She kind of just complains but never seeks out help, and then shits on her father for actually trying to help and improve himself, like by taking antidepressants. The show acts like we should care without giving many reasons. Yeah, her parents are quite a shitty pair as a couple and probably didn't raise her well because they're constantly arguing, and we're expected to feel bad for her, but she barely has screen time and we know genuinely nothing about her, only her parents. We've seen like 2 scenes of her childhood and some of her as a teenager, and we can only guess what her life is like based on what we know of her parents. We know they're divorced and her dad's a cheater and he's gay, and her mom is super evil or whatever, and we can guess based on that. But we don't see much of how they raised her together in her childhood and what her childhood was like and how she lives now. Because yeah, this show revolves around people that aren't her. We aren't supposed to see much of her. But the way they write her in is like we are supposed to know these things that we don't. All we saw of her childhood was her dad being quite a good dad. He exploded a couple of rocks and stars and planets and shit to send her to bed. Am I supposed to believe that he was a shitty dad for her whole childhood? This show is very confusing. We see nothing of her and her mom, really. We see some scenes of her with her dad when she's not running away, but we kind of just see him being good. Am I supposed to think he's a shitty parent? Because he called her mother a bitch in front of her once? And because he cheated on her mother with a man, even though their marriage was arranged and they never loved each other anyway? And who he sleeps with shouldn't be his daughter's business anyways, because that's a very inappropriate thing to talk about with your daughter. I don't think anyone in this fandom wants him to introduce Blitz to his child with the introduction, "Hey, this is the man that fucks me because I've never been in love with your mother." I'm specifically talking about that aspect though. It's definitely her business to know whether or not her parents are even technically together, since Stolas has always had more with Blitz than he had with Stella. But maybe don't tell her about her dad's sex life. That's fucking weird, and also, I'm going really off topic here. Octavia could have been a really cool character. A goth/emo teenager navigating hell, stuck between two toxic parents? That has potential. But instead of doing anything interesting with that, the writers just made her sad. Like, she's just always sad. Basically, my point is, for fuck's sake, Vivzy, please improve on how you write female characters. Luna is a hellhound that got adopted by Blitz, who is literally a different species than her. He's an imp, and she's a hellhound. And this is her first time having a parent since she spent her life in the hell equivalent of an orphanage for dogs. That has more potential than you're giving it. For now, she's kind of just an angry young adult who has a phone addiction and can't be asked to work, which is basically just the most famous stereotype of young people. And all we ever see her do is be mad at her dad for no reason, like him trying to hug her so she kicked him in the balls. Vivzy, for fuck's sake, please stop writing teenagers and young adults as just sad and angry and phone addicts. There's more to young people than that. Octavia is an emo teenager who has divorced parents, and she is hell's royalty. She is literally a princess in hell that has potential. Millie is from the Wrath Ring, which is known for being violent and makes it low-key less shocking that she grew up to be an assassin. She also has a massive family, she's a married woman, and she also shared an ex with the man she is currently married to. That has potential. Stella is a villain who's basically always been a villain, but then she got cheated on, and that probably made her more of a villain, because she probably thought of what she was doing as revenge. But we don't even get to see how that impacted the storyline, really. And we need to see more of Veronica and Blitz and how he betrayed her. Because so far, we have only seen her as the angry ex, and I want to see what she was like before she betrayal, and when she was just a woman in love, you know? She's also a pop star. Can we see some more of that? Like how Blitz even managed to pull a famous singer who's as gorgeous as Veronica when he's just him? He keeps his trash in his van and drives it about with him in some episodes, and somehow that managed to turn on famous pop star Veronica? Hello? Give me some context. How did that happen? In summary, Octavia exists more as an obstacle than a person. She's a textbook sign of lazy writing. She's sad when it's convenient, disappears when not needed, and only ever appears to delay Blitz and Stolas from getting together. Give her more than just a couple scenes of her being sad, and then getting her to fuck off when she isn't needed in the show at a specific time. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have to say.